Welcome to the SciMap help videos on the SciMap electrical software. This is video number 1 showing you how to get started on a project. So we can see here, this is the interface that you will see when you start a brand new electrical project. You can see up in the icon in the corner here, you've got the ability to open an existing project. That will reveal the last few projects that you've used. You can start a new project, or you can open a project by going into your Windows Explorer and discovering your project from wherever you saved it. There are other options that speak for themselves which will be dealt with later on. So to start a new project, the first thing that we'll do is decide on the standards, either IET UK standards to BS 7671, or you can apply Australian and New Zealand standards as well. We then have to fill out the general information. This is really for setting up the defaults on the project. The idea being to set up the basic parameters such as your preferred cable types, your preferred protection on final circuits or main submains, or setting up the various voltage drop on submains and final circuits. So you're setting up the worst case scenario. So if, for example, 80% of your submains are copper XLPE armoured cables, you would make the selection here and then change any other cables that are different to that on a cable by cable basis. So all cables can be controlled individually. All we're doing here is setting up the defaults. First of all, we have our cable database, currently to the 17th edition Amendment 3, soon to be changing to the 18th. Cable sizes, where you can set the goalposts on the cable sizes. You may have bending radius issues and you might want to impose maximum and minimum cable sizes. This means the software will automatically parallel up if the load is sufficient to increase the cable. So you might end up with smaller cables paralleled up, which you can control automatically. The switchgear database is found in the General DB folder on the SciMap installation under CPD. This provides you with a range of manufacturers. There are legacy databases in here for existing users, so you will find old breakers and old devices in here for existing reasons. You can select the database you want to use, and you can actually mix and match databases. There will be videos on this later on. This will then show you the range of manufacturers that make up, in this case, the Schneider Electric UK database. Starting off with the supply fault level and external earth loop impedance, you can enter these values from measured values on site or local electricity board information, or you can set up transformer information where you type in the kVA rating of the transformer, the percentage impedance, then perform the calculation, and that will work out the estimated short circuit fault level along with the minimum earth loop impedance, the reactances and resistances, and the full load current that can be generated from the transformer of this size. We can then set the voltage drops. This will enable you to set the voltage drop for a public or a private network, and that will apply a voltage drop percentage to the submains and the final circuits. At this point, it's probably worth mentioning pressing F1 on the keyboard does take you to the appropriate dialog box. It's context sensitive, and you can go to the appropriate subject matter wherever you are. So here we are in the General Information tab, and then you can interrogate the subject matter. It's always best to close down the manual when you finish with it because it is context sensitive. If you don't close it down, it will only reveal the previous subject you were looking at, which may be totally irrelevant to your current subject matter. The next phase for us is to select the preferred breaker type we want to see on our submains. This is the maximum voltage drop percentage that's been applied based on the previous entry, in this case 4%. This is where we select our preferred cable type, selecting the cable type, and you will get a description of the cable. Standard installation methods based on the regulations are also included for the given cable type. You could apply a default grouping factor at this point if you wanted to, and you can use what we call the use spare volt drop, which will optimize the volt drop and pass any spare volt drop down to final circuits should you have short submains, very long final circuits where the chances are that the final circuits might not reach the voltage drop requirements. So you can actually swap the voltage drop between, and it's the same with the final circuits. You've got the use spare volt drops, so you can optimize the voltage drop between boards. Final circuits is the same. We can select our preferred protection on our final distribution boards. We do have the ability to change that on a board by board basis completely or individual ways. Again, there's the allocated volt drop. the cable type, the installation methods, and the premises type, which will determine the diversity at board level, which will be explained in a future video. There are default options you can apply in terms of your voltages, single and three phase, standard power factors, the size of the layout can be accounted for, and also whether you have balanced or unbalanced loads, the program will optimize the cable. So in this case, if you use the tick box, you use neutral cable for balanced loads, this will put a 4-core cable in irrespective of whether your cables are balanced or unbalanced. You can then make the appropriate decision here. So these first 4 tabs, general, submains, final circuits, defaults, these are the bare minimum tabs that you need to review prior to setting up a project. If you are interested or get involved in commissioning, then you have a project tab where you can put all the current inspection details and the address details, the installation details, any notes relating to the installation, any certification information, HV earthing, and inspection. Overvoltages are now covered in the separate DANE package, which is included on the CD, where you have one registered license. So you wouldn't really pay any attention to this anymore, soon to be removed. So that really concludes the setting up of the project in terms of the general information.